The Pittsburgh Steelers, it's safe to say, have become a walking meme ever since they were blown out by the Cleveland Browns in the wild card round. Heck, you could even say before that they became a walking meme. And nowadays, you can't mention the Steelers without someone bringing up the 11-0 claps or the Corvette memes. And I gotta admit, as funny as those memes are, I think a lot of people have forgotten about how good of a team the Steelers are and how good of a team they can be. And while I might be clickbaiting a little bit in the title and the thumbnail, they might be the most underrated team in the NFL. And in today's video, I'm gonna talk about why you guys shouldn't sleep on the Steelers and why they're one of the most underrated teams in the whole league. Before we get started though, make sure to like the video if you enjoyed, as it really helps out the channel, and also make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy this type of content so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I'm finally gonna do a face reveal. But with that being said, let's just get this video started. And I want to start out by talking about the Steelers' wide receiving core. And their receiving core, it's one of the best in the NFL. They got a four-headed, I guess you could say, monster. And while none of these guys are like true number one elite wideouts just yet, there's no denying they're just four very solid and really good wide receivers. And I'm talking about Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, and James Washington, the main guys of the Steelers wide receiving core. Now, I know they were a meme last season due to their TikToks, and they were pretty inconsistent, and them along with Eric Ebron had a bad habit of dropping passes. But there is no denying the talent at the wide receiver position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chase Claypool, he was one of the best rookie wide receivers last season, and there's a very high chance that he could break out next season and have over 1,000 yards. Then there's Juju Smith-Schuster, who I know he's an absolute meme in the whole NFL community right now, and it's ever since 2018, it's safe to say he has regressed. However, Juju, in my opinion, might be in for a big year in 2021. And in a way, this is gonna be a make or break year for him. It's safe to say his image has really been tainted after this past season, especially as a leader, plus his on-field performance. He ended up settling with a one-year pact with the black and gold due to the fact that he couldn't find a long-term deal. And I think all of this could motivate Juju to him and cause him to have a very big year. He's already a solid receiver. However, I think he could have maybe his best season ever since his amazing 2018 season. With all these factors, you know, kind of playing a part in his performance, and they could be a very big motivator to him. And then there's Deontay Johnson, who, yeah, I know he has a lot of issues when it came to dropping the ball. However, he's still a decent player in his own right. And hey, keep in mind, he led the team in receiving yards this season, and he's definitely good at the other facets of the game when it comes to being a wide receiver. He just needs to have better hands and more consistent hands, and he'll be a very valuable contributor to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then to top it all off, James Washington, he's a really solid player as well. They also drafted Pat Freiermuth in the second round in the 2021 NFL draft, and he could be a pretty good tight end as a receiving option. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking right now, oh, but Ben Roethlisberger's their quarterback. The Steelers are gonna be terrible. Okay, yeah, I know. But Big Ben, he's definitely regressed through his career. Let's talk about him, right? I know Big Ben has regressed over these past few years, and he was pretty bad to end the season. However, a lot of people need to understand that Big Ben in 2020, at 38 years old, essentially had to carry an offense since the run game was so bad. Not only that, but it wasn't all his fault, you know? He didn't have the offensive line was not very good, and as I said before, the Steelers wide receiving core, they had a very bad habit of dropping passes, and all of that's just not a recipe for success, and that was definitely a big reason for his struggles at the end of the year. And let's not act like Big Ben cannot be a game manager at this stage in his career. He was having a good season before their collapse, and all they need him to do is just be a game manager, which he 100% can be. Luckily for him, the run game could definitely improve with the selection of former Alabama star Najee Harris. And Najee, he was maybe the best running back prospect in this past year's draft. And if he can have a good rookie season, it's gonna go a long way in helping this team. However, my biggest question for the offense, aside from the run game, and I guess Big Ben, you could say, is the offensive line. The offensive line last season, as I said before, is just not very good, and they lost some key guys on that side. Up front, they lost David DeCastro, who they recently cut, Alejandro Villanueva, Marquise Pouncey, and Matt Filer. And a lot of people are questioning this offensive line, especially considering the fact that the last season they were terrible when it came to run blocking. However, they did sign Trey Turner, who, yeah, he had a down season. However, he did struggle with injuries in 2020, and keep in mind, before that, he was a Pro Bowler for 5 years in a row. And the only question really to me is at tackle, since they're good in the interior. In Pittsburgh, they're good at developing their offensive linemen. So if their offensive line can just be decent and passable, well then Pittsburgh should just be fine. And I do think there's a real chance it's passable. But then moving on to the defensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball is probably the stronger side of the ball for Pittsburgh. Obviously, they got one of the best front sevens in the whole league, with guys like TJ Watt, who is a defensive player of the year candidate this past year and could definitely win it in 2021, is one of the best pass rushers in the league. You got Stephon Tuitt and Cam Hayward, who are great interior defensive linemen. Devin Bush and Alex Highsmith, they're also pretty good linebackers, and overall, they're just great up front defensively. The secondary, I mean, yeah, it's not fantastic. I'll admit it's not fantastic. However, they still got good players on that side in the secondary. They got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's one of maybe the best safety in the league, and they got Joe Hayden, who, yeah, he is getting up there in age, and the rest of the cornerback group is not amazing. However, they still got it's still a decent secondary, and I do know they lost guys like Bud Dupree and Steven Nelson and Mike Hilton, but this defense, in my opinion, is still going to be one of the best in the league. Maybe not number one, but it's definitely going to be a pretty good defense. And then we should talk about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is one of the best head coaches in all of football. In his time with the Steelers, spans over a decade, he hasn't had one losing season. Not one. And he's just a great coach. And while he doesn't have the playoff success compared to guys like Bill Belichick, I mean, let's be honest, no one really does. He's still a good coach, as I said before. He is a great coach, and he will motivate his team a lot to perform. Overall, the Steelers are a very balanced team. They got a good coach, and they made some improvements to their roster. Now, I don't think they're guaranteed to be a playoff team, considering how stacked the AFC is and some of the questions surrounding the Steelers, like their run game and the offensive line. However, don't be too shocked if the Steelers do make the playoffs or win the AFC North. They still got a decent team, and while they may not win 12 games like they did last season, and while they might not win the AFC North, considering the fact that they did lose some guys, as I said before, and they do play in a tough division with the Browns and the Ravens, the Steelers, they're still a very decent team, and in my opinion, they got a floor of like 8 wins, and I don't think their ceiling is like sky high, like 14 wins. I don't know about 14 wins, but I definitely think they could win like 11, maybe even 12 games. But overall, Pittsburgh's very underrated. I know they do have some questions, and I do know they lost some guys. However, they're a balanced team, they got a good coach, and they've been doubted before in the past. Remember in 2019 when Ben Roethlisberger got injured and everyone said, okay, yeah, the Steelers season's over, let's tank. However, Mike Tomlin, he said, no, as long as I'm the coach here, we're not tanking. They trade their first round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick, and while they don't make the playoffs, they go 8-8, and they're actually a pretty decent team. So, I mean, keep your eye out for the Steelers and don't sleep on them. We've slept on them before in the past. They've responded for the most part. Well, I mean, they've kind of responded. Maybe not like to the point where they were Super Bowl champions, but they've responded. And overall, Pittsburgh's got a really decent team. And I personally think you guys should just not sleep on them. However, with that being said, that's kind of all I have to say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button, as it really does help out the channel, and also make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy this type of content, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I'm finally going to do a face reveal. But with that being said, I'm out, you guys.